Wow, this whole day has been beyond amazing, but that last one just...
Transformational is what it's been. Vibrationally transformational.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to a friend of mine at lunch, is I almost wish I could listen to the tape of today, because there was so much I can't...
Not really, because what happens tomorrow, in other words, we don't want you to get locked into today. Mm-hmm. Because what's coming tomorrow, as a result of what came today, is where you want to leave this, you see.
Well, based on what you were just talking to with the last person, was that how I can focus and I can feel things that I want to create that I don't even know what they look like. But where I get caught up in...
But do you know how they feel?
Pardon?
Do you know how they feel? You don't know what they look like, but do you know how they feel?
Oh, I mean, it's like I find words coming out of my mouth about what I want to do, and I think, where did that come from? I don't even know what it is, but I can feel how good it is.
That feeling of on the verge, you see, that feeling is a wonderful thing, because what that means is you've got the momentum going, you've got that leverage flowing through you, and the discovery of it. In other words, you're about to feel the inspiration of it. Can you feel what's going on here? All along, humans commonly think that they bang around and they set a goal, and then they figure out how to accomplish a goal. But what about reaching for vibrational alignment, finding vibrational alignment, and then being inspired to what matches that? It's different than goal setting, or it's goal setting of how you want to feel, and then you get the surprise, the feeling of amazement, of delight when things unfold for you. Don't you like that?
I love that. And
so when you say, yeah, I don't know what it is, that's why we ask the question, but do you know how it feels?
I know how it feels, and the question that's been burning inside of me is, how do I give up control? Because it's like I have a focus, but how do I give up the control? We don't want you to give up control. We want you to use your control in more productive ways. We want you to exercise your control in the very early part of the day, which is to get out of bed on the right vibrational foot. That's the control worth exercising. It's like, can you imagine someone saying, I'm at the bottom of the hill in San Francisco, my friend has set my car in motion and it's at the bottom of the hill, and I'm going to control it, I'm going to keep it from going into the bay. And we say, that's not a good exercise of control. But if you were at the top of the hill and you said, my friend has nudged my car and it's going to go down the hill, we would say, exercise that control, stand right out in front of it, it'll bump you but it won't go anywhere. That's control worth exercising. So you have to figure out where your real control is, you see. And there's just not enough action in the world to compensate for a vibration that's in motion. That's why you have the benefit of people. Why do you think that you sleep anyway? You're resting the whole time you're in these chairs. You don't need rest. You don't need to sleep for rest. You're resting now. You're resting often when you're driving. You rest a lot. But sleeping is ceasing the momentum and giving yourself an opportunity to begin the momentum in a more productive way. Okay. I mean, somebody talked about dreams earlier, and I can remember I used to have flying dreams, and I still do sometimes. They used to scare me until all of a sudden in my dream state, I thought, wow, I can control this. So it doesn't matter if something's chasing me or if there's a good thing. It's like, oh, wow, I can jump off this cliff and fly, and then just really go with it.
Flying dream speaks to your awareness of your unlimitedness. Those are good dreams.
Yeah.
You're flying in your dreams. You're feeling more free than...
Yeah, I love it because I can soar. And so I've had this feeling recently in talking to friends and so on, that there's this creative thing coming from me, or that wants to come through. And again, like I said, is that I thought I knew where it was going.
Well, now you're sort of balling it up. Say it better. Say it better, because you're talking about, like, there's this unknown coming from me, and there's something that I need to do that I'm not doing in order to define it. But you can say it better in light of the transformational conversation that we've had today. I don't need to, that's like being a kid. We started to say a kid, being one of you, waiting with a pile of birthday presents in front of you, and wanting to have opened them all before you got there. In other words, don't you like the unfolding? Jerry and Esther took a really beautiful gift to a friend. And a week later, Esther was talking to her and she still hadn't opened it. She said, she liked the feeling of anticipation. And Esther said, well, I have to tell you, it was an ice sculpture. Teasing with her, but Esther wanted her to open it already. Open it, open it, open it, open it. Mm-hmm. But there is something in the savoring, isn't there?
Yeah, it's the savoring, and I love the feeling. I don't know how to turn my mind off from trying to get specific when I don't even have the specific.
Well, we know what you're talking about. It's like you have this feeling of on the verge, and you can feel the empowerment coursing through you, and it feels like you ought to direct it. But what you're speaking here is what we've been getting at all day here. We want you to allow yourself the benefit of that alignment for enough time to then trust that the inspiration of where to flow it will come. And this is why some of you have been listening to us for a while are feeling a little uncomfortable in this conversation, because we've been saying you create your own reality and you get what you think about, so deliberately think. And now it sounds to you like we're saying don't deliberately think, deliberately feel. But what we're really saying is deliberately think about how you feel. Use your control to guide your feelings. Get behind the momentum. Get at the beginning of the momentum. Set the momentum in the right course, and then watch what comes. There are some things that maybe you've forgotten that we can remind you about that will make all of this easier for you. And that is that you had a very clear intention when you came into this physical body. You felt on the verge of a lot, but you didn't have all of the details of your life all planned out. Can you follow that? In other words, you didn't come with a predestination to meet this person on this day and say those words to that person and become a lover with that person and give birth to that person and that to be your occupation. You didn't come with all of those details already planned out. You came with a general trajectory of well-being, you see. And so as you understand that you've come with that general trajectory and that you wanted the details to fill in response to what you were living along your way. And in other words, that's what creation is. You're not puppets on a string. But a trajectory that was pre-birth sort of sounds a little bit like puppets on a string. And so it's not puppets on a string. It's yielding to and finding resonance with your true power, and then applying that power in the direction of things that are meaningful to you. So we think we can say it perfectly for you here. You were source energy, you still are. You're in this physical body. You know what you do want, you know what you don't want, and you filled your vortex full of vibrational things that you want. You've been saying what you want. You've identified with detail what you want. But you've identified with detail what you want from a contrasting place where your vibrational frequency was as much, if not more, about what you don't want as it was about what you want. Are you with us so far? Someone was rude. You want them to be nicer. The world is hard. You want it to be easier. Children are eating. You want them to eat. All of those things. So you've put all of these things into your vortex. You have identified with detail, with explicit detail, what you want. How you want this world that you are creating within to flow. Are you with us so far? Now, you've decided to take step 3 seriously. You've decided to do it so seriously that you're going to acknowledge that while you slept, your momentum ceased. And when you wake up, that you can start it again. And you're going to use every bit of control you can muster to stay general and in alignment as long as you can. And when you know that you are there in a stable way, then you are going to add specifics in order to deliberately increase momentum. Understanding that in the preparation of that grid, that all of the things that you've asked for, that you've already put into your vortex, will flow through inspiration and realization into your life experience. So to say you don't know what you want could not be further from the way that it really is, because your vortex is full of everything that you want. But to say, I don't know it right now, this red hot minute, could be accurate, because you could be in a place of not appreciating yourself or someone else. You could be in a place of feeling lost or not enough. And so you might not be a vibrational match to what's in your vortex. So that's an accurate statement, until for 30 days or more, you're getting up and getting on the high flying disc and making sure that you're there, you see. So can you just feel what's coming for you? Do you accept that your vortex is full of requests that you've specifically put there? And doesn't it make sense to you that this conversation has been about doing the best job of step 3 that you've ever done in your life, of consistently for 30 days, really putting the emphasis, using all of your control on allowing? And if Esther didn't even make it till breakfast the first day, or the second day, or the third day, but by the 4th day she had more control, because she cared about it. And by the 5th day and the 6th day, by the 4th week and the 5th week and the 6th week, in other words, you begin to feel invincible in your ability to direct your thoughts. And then what happens is, things that you put into the vortex that you've long since forgotten that you even put there show up in your experience, and you recognize them when they come. You see, that's why it's tricky to call it inspiration, because you already put it in the vortex. In other words, the semantics don't matter so much. So that's why Esther wants to call it step 4. She wants to call it step 4, because now that she's consistently on that high flying disc, when those things move from the vortex into her reality, she wants to savor that moment and recognize that now that it is a manifestation, that now there is the potential of a whole new set of vibrational dynamics that could cause the launch of another rocket. But because she feels substantially tethered there, now the feeling is, bring it on. Now the feeling is, I'm unlimited. Now there's no time shortageness feeling. Now there's no monetary shortageness. Now there's no shortageness anywhere. It's just the universal forces flowing through. And so that's what you're describing. You're describing this energy that's bigger than you've ever consciously flowed before. And you're saying, I should be better prepared for this energy. And we say, your vortex has prepared you for this energy. But there will be an even greater clarity that will happen to you.
Oh, that's been happening since I walked into since you showed up this morning. Is just, my world has been turned upside down in such a good way. Transformational. So let's describe the benefit of what has taken place here. Let's talk about what's new to you, what you now know, what you've now felt resonance with that you did not know before you got here. You already knew that you were vibrational, but you know it more now. You already sensed that you had the ability to control your reality, or to create your own reality, because you've long been acknowledging that you are the creator of your own reality. But what's new for you is you are understanding that there was a definite trajectory of well-being that you were upon before you even came into this physical body, that you have now consciously reconnected with. And that from that newfound alignment and the sustaining of it, the chronic sustaining of it, that the world of contrast that you have been exploring is going to yield to you a whole new set of contrasting experiences. And the contrast in those contrasting experiences is so subtle. It's like choosing from the buffet that only has good stuff. That's the transformation. You won't be without choice, but the arena from which you are choosing has been clarified for you. Your expectation of things going the way you want them to is now in a new place.